Alright guys, welcome to episode 4 of Lifting the Lid.
In this episode, we go off script with a Q&A, taking listeners' questions with zero prep, giving you an honest and candid insight into drunken nights out, core politics, and my worst thrashing.
Let's get into it. Right, and we're back.
We're in. Okay, let's get straight into it. No messing. Fire from your hip.
Right, so I propose
Yeah.
a basic structure of sensible questions, silly questions, and then I have a nice game for us to play at the end.
I like it.
And we'll do the deep dive on
You might have noticed a theme here. Okay, last week we did like serious, and then a little bit of funny bits, and then a game. Same this week.
Yeah.
We're not very creative, but we are consistent.
There's a formula. There's a method to the madness.
Yeah.
Right, okay. It's just where do we start? It's on what scale of...
It's down to you. You're the captain of the ship.
Right, okay, so we'll start practical to start with.
Okay.
Best hacks for going on exercise.
Oh, okay. Scran is the number one. So I have a scran bag. So I used to do...
Is there an element of smuggling involved in this?
Depends what stage of training you're in. If you're in like phase 1, yes. If you're in phase 2, you probably get told to do it, encouraged. What I would do is basically you get a ration box. You've seen them, right?
Yeah.
Full of shit. You get all your meals, which obviously you have to pack, and then you get loads of sweets and all that sort of stuff. What you do is you take a freezer bag, all your sweets, open them up, and just dump them into that bag. It's horrendous, obviously, but then you've got a little nutty bag to like go from every time. You can either do that, or you can do what I did, which is a bit more expensive, but a lot more efficient in my opinion. Is you just get rid of all the fucking snacks. Raid the naffy and then buy like Mars bars and like, all the shit you like to eat, whack them in that little nutty bag and then take that and it like congeals into one ball.
Got like a
sugar
fucking ammo belt of Mars bars.
literally, so that's one.
Actually, just go and staying on that for a second. I saw on, I think it was the Royal Marine documentary that was on iPlayer recently.
Yeah.
During the Arctic training in Norway, one of the guys that was doing what was it, mountain leader?
Yeah.
His mountain leader training. They did that and they whacked it on a radiator.
Oh
so
yeah,
he had like a melted,
yeah.
congealed tube of just chocolate and nuts.
It ends up being like a massive chocolate bar of just
that he just basically like
graze on,
just gnawed on as he's plodding along.
That's it. That's the dream. So that's one. Number 2 is take flip flops in the field. As you know now, with running so much and doing so much on your feet. It helps to have something to help let your feet breathe, so you can walk around and do admin and that kind of cooking with flip flops on if you're allowed to do that. You probably again won't be allowed to do that in phase 1, but phase 2 you will be able to. And I'll just give one more. One more is to ensure by whatever metric you can that your fucking sleeping bag is going to stay dry. So whether that be just double dry bagging the actual bag so you can. So the whole contents of your bag is dry bagged, or definitely wrapping the actual like fleece bit of your sleeping bag in the bivvy bag, which is waterproof. Because if that gets wet, it's fucking game over.
Yeah, I mean you're wet enough as it is, like on exercise, aren't you? You need like some semblance of.
Well, you just go down.
Dry.
You would just get hypothermia.
Yeah.
If you were wet all day and then tried to sleep in a wet sleeping bag, you would go down. So that's just bad drills. So
you'd also be fucking miserable.
Yeah, exactly. And you probably quit.
Actually, just going back to sliders for a second. What did people do before sliders?
I know, they're a dream, aren't they?
They've only been in my life for a few years, and I practically live in them now.
Yeah, I don't know how people manage. Certainly if you're on your feet a lot, because the ability to let your feet breathe is just a dream.
Yeah, and also people that wear flip flops, like the toe ones, over sliders. They need their hard drive checking because that is very fucking sus in my eyes.
Yeah, I'll just get blisters in between my little toesies.
But just why would you choose that?
I don't know. You just get none of the comfort, and you have to like grip them. With your toes, you have to like crawl over to let them keep them on.
It's like people that run barefoot as well. I don't trust that. That's something.
That's for another episode.
Yeah, we'll park that idea.
Yeah, there's a board involved.
Right, okay, same theme.
Okay.
Best hacks for going on exercise. Best hacks for going on a night out.
Oh, okay. This isn't really Marines related, but best.
Well, no, okay, so something you picked up, something that became kind of like.
Because this is something that's been born from going out on a school night far too much. So before you go out, prep pint of water, 2 ibuprofen, and if you've got access to it, bang some electrolytes in the water. Then, when you wake up at 08 to go to work, you're good to go, and it doesn't matter how much beer you had the night before, it just sorts everything out. So that's, I guess, one. The other one is if you're...
So is there anything like marine specific? Like, is there any? So like, if you had say if you like went out in extra or something, and you knew that you had like some horrible fizz the next day, is there anything that you would do to make it slightly less honking?
Only really that, and the other bits. I mean, obviously there are things I know now which I didn't know then, with like remaining hydrated throughout the night. You know, like interspersing water with your beers. Never did that because obviously you don't fucking order water when you're out. So yeah, I mean, I would have done that looking back, but I didn't ever do that then. The other one is probably around pulling. If you're going out with the express purpose to pull, we used to do something called trap or die. And so I'll explain what that means. So you would just go out and not book any accommodation to sleep in. So you go out in like Bristol or whatever, and you just haven't booked anywhere. So if you don't pull and go home with a girl, then you sleep in just in the street with the homeless people.
It's a high risk strategy.
High risk, high reward. So that's what I think about.
But is it high reward though? Because you stoop,
that's true.
You stoop to such low levels of desperation, you end up with like any old cave dweller.
No comment.
Yeah. Guilty, Your Honour.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one. And any Marines listening will know of that one.
So actually, like, going around the same theme.
Okay.
What happens? Like, have females been smuggled back into Limpson?
I don't know about Limpson. That would be difficult.
That sounds dodgy, actually. What's the policy around sex trafficking at Limpson?
Yeah. Not at Limpson probably, because it's a bit more. Unless you're a trained rank bringing girls back, but bringing girls back as a recruit would be a feat in itself. So probably not at Limpson, but at other units, yeah, you can normally get away with it because the guards are just like, obviously they're just normal blokes. Yeah. They know the crack, right? So usually they'll let you on, but
is it supposed to be
like... That's not to say that security is not good, but...
Is it supposed to be like... Yeah. Is there any Russian Secret Service personnel out there?
Yeah, we actually get briefed on that, not to fall foul of sometimes... You know, like I said last week with the guy who we found out was from ISIS, and we would have told him that we were in the Marines in the last episode. The same kind of thing with like Eastern European...
Female,
you would get like the really good-looking... model-looking girl come up to like the most rats bloke in the troop, you'd be like,
it's a bit sus.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So
on Putin's payroll,
that's it. That's what happened.
So what is the policy then? Is it supposedly like wives and girlfriends back on camp, but to the lads on?
No, you just sign them in. So you literally can go in. There'll be a 24-hour guard room. You just go. You sign their name. They get a pass, a temporary pass that leaves them till like the night after, the kind of a few hours after, or like midnight, depending on the camp. And then they have to be gone by whatever time their pass says they've got to be gone by. But yeah, it's pretty easy.
Right, okay. Last of the hack questions.
Okay.
Best admin hacks.
Okay,
and in my own personal experience, ironing.
Yeah.
So I know that plays a big part of the admin side of being a Marine, and I'm absolutely shit at it.
Yeah, it does. I mean, sometimes what we do with ironing is like outsource it to the best person at ironing in the room. So you've got 6 people in the room. Generally, people play to people's strengths. So if someone never gets picked up for their bed sheets, whatever, in the morning, they just fucking do everyone's bed sheets, and then you do something for him to take some work off him. So that gets like
in the showers.
Yeah, do something. Yeah, so that's one, I guess, to try and play to the lads' strength who are in your room. Another one is, I did a post on this actually this week, to write a to-do list of everything that's just standard issue.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Just because you've got so much to do and so many different things that take different amount of time. So, you know, going and trying to marry it up, so trying to cross it over, so trying to do your washing, and then while that's on, do some other stuff, so you're not just sitting and staring at a washing machine all the time. So you're wasting hours there. You basically can't go to sleep until everything's done, so it's in your interest to get everything done as fast as you can. Another one is to learn, like I said in my post this week, how to box fold or A4 fold shirts, like proper shirts, like button down shirts.
This was new to me. It blew my mind.
Yeah, so like because everything's so anal in training, you have to literally A4. We call it Globe and Laurel because the Globe and Laurel is the A4 magazine for the Marines. They go around with one of them and measure it up to your shirts, and if it's literally like a centimetre out, it'll get thrown out. So learning how to do that is going to be a massive hack, because if you can do it ahead of time, when they teach you, you'll be like, yep, sweet, got that. So they're the main ones really. Just right to do this, to try and make sure everything's happening in the right order, so you're not like staring at washing machines or waiting in the ablutions to get your boots cleaned or whatever. Try and marry things up as hard as it is, and then box fold shirts beforehand.
That's shit. And how many hours a night, say like towards the start of training as well, when you still kind of like
shit at it,
not got stuff squared away, how long can you expect to do that for an evening?
It depends what you're doing and what you've done the day before. If you're like deservicing from an exercise, say you've been out in the exercise for like 4 days, everything's fucked. They'll do that on purpose to make everything dirty. And then of course the next morning at 7 a.m. you've got an inspection where everything's got to be absolutely spectacularly clean. That will take a while. Certainly early on in training it'll take. So you maybe start it, because you do your weapon first. You always do your weapon first, which again at the start, because you shit at it, takes
ages.
Probably 2.5 hours maybe.
Fucking hell.
And then
every time you clean it,
it's ridiculous. Cleaning weapons is shit, mate. Cleaning weapons, because again they have to be spotless, and there's like any little bit of carbon they can get on their finger, they'll redo it. And so that's one thing. So you 2 hours on your rifle, let's say. Then you can start your kit, and that takes probably 5, 6, 7 maybe hours because you got to think. There's probably like 1,000 to 2,000 people on Limpston in training. Yeah. It might be less, I don't know. But there's a lot of people. There's one washing block, so there's only one block full of washers and dryers. So you're either hand washing or you can use the washers and dryers. And there's about 9 washers and 9 dryers. Of course, when everyone comes back from an exercise on a Friday,
fuck that.
You're just waiting. There's loads of like photos and shit. I won't have to find them, but there's loads of photos of me and all the rest of the lads in my troop, like slumped over, falling asleep at washing machines, just waiting, staring at this thing that says 1 minute and takes fucking 10 minutes. It was, it's terrible.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah,
as if training's not hard enough. You're literally at the mercy of a fucking washing machine.
Oh yeah, you no control over it.
And some cunt who beat you to it first.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So you literally like beeline for the washers first things, try and get your stuff in first. And then you get people like playing games where you put your stuff in a queue after that. So ideally, anyone who's there when you're not there would put your stuff in next and then wait.
Yeah, that's
not. They fucking don't. They
that's
put all their shit in. Then you're like, hang on, I was next in the queue.
Yeah, they want an extra hour in bed, mate.
Yeah, and again, so that's it. So you get to bed maybe 2, 3 in the morning, having fucking polished shit for hours and hours.
And then you're up at like 5 or 6.
And then you're up at 6-ish to try and get ready for an inspection at 7. So it's fucking hard graft. And that is like every day. Certainly every time after an exercise. And you go and exercise a lot. So it's pretty shit, yeah.
That is shit. I didn't realise that.
So that's a big consideration, is just how much time you're willing to just try and fight for these standards that are almost unreachable, but you have to still try and chase them.
Yeah. So if you don't like ironing,
yeah,
and you don't ordinarily frequent a laundrette, then
it's going to be a shock to the system.
Yeah, fuck that right off.
Yeah. So it's going to be tough if you're not good at like learning those things quickly. Then it's going to be even tougher.
Well, it's evaded me for 24 years, so I don't think I'm going to pick it up anytime soon.
Yeah, I'll teach you.
Right. So how does family accommodation work at a unit?
Oh, okay.
I know this isn't really relevant to us, but I'm sure some people out there would be interested.
Yeah, it's a good question. So obviously you have the block where all the lads live. So that's like single living accommodation.
So is that actually like within the camp?
Yeah, it's on the camp. Yeah. Right. So it'll normally be like next to your place of work or up the road from your place of work, whatever. So that'll be either single living or like like 2 to 4 man rooms. And it's pretty good that, because you've got like a common room and you cook together and all that shit. So it's a good like social element to that. It's good. And then outside of that, if you're like in a long-term relationship or married, I think you had to be married up until recently, and now it's open to long-term. You can get it's called like the marriage patch. So it's probably, depending on the camp, it can be like 500 meters away or like 2k or whatever drive away, and your missus and kids or whatever can live there, and you're commuting to work. It's good and bad. Obviously, it's really cheap. The rent or the mortgage is like nothing.
Yeah, so is that like MOD owned property?
Yeah.
And it's like heavily subsidised?
Heavily subsidised, but you still pay. Yeah, but it's basically nothing. And then the drawback obviously is that you're uprooting your family to move them down to wherever you've been based. You will be based there for maybe 2 years and then have to do it again and again and again. So that's typically what happens. Military families will move around quite a lot.
Yeah, it's hard, like getting into schools and stuff. It's a fucking nightmare.
Jobs for the missus, you know. Like the Marines is worse because like you do have those small drafts. So 2 years typically. Like in the army, you're normally in one place for a long time.
Yeah.
So it tends to be a bit better. But that's how it typically works.
No, that's shit.
Yeah, so for the kids it can be difficult because they've got to make friends with other forces kids rather than just making friends with normal people.
Yeah, and then you chin them off 2 years later.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're only been socialised in a military setting, which is strange for a kid.
Yeah. Good way to got a lot of followers on Instagram though. Constantly meeting new people.
True, if that's your motivation though, don't be joining.
If you want to be an influencer, get a dad in the Corps.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Right, okay, more sensible questions.
Okay.
We're going very sensible now.
Okay.
This is
even more to the sensible.
Yeah, this is
threshold.
like borderline question time.
Oh, okay, sweet. Like do that every day.
Right, okay, so in your experience, what extent is casual racism normalised within the Corps?
Ooh, interesting. I don't think it's normalised as much as maybe you would think.
Yeah, well, from my own outside perspective, it's obviously the stereotype is that like the military is a very right wing institution.
Yeah.
And then with that comes
maybe a little bit, I would say, but the thing that is strange, and maybe it's just a reflection on the actual population, you know, in the UK, but there's very little in terms of diversity racially in the Corps anyway. So, you know, it wouldn't really happen anyway because there's not that exposure to people who are of a different race. So that would maybe breed a little bit of it, or that if it was existing, it would come out when there's someone of a different racial background coming into a troop. It would maybe show itself. But because that doesn't happen as much, because like I say, it's generally white Caucasian males who are in the Corps, it doesn't really show itself too much. Certainly, I haven't really experienced or been in the presence of certainly as much as you think. But again, it's a representation of a subset of society. So if you've got 100 people, 5% of them might have racist views. In the Corps, if you've got 100 people, 5% of them might have racist views. So it's the same thing, but you just got a group of people to deal with, right? So it's like anything, like, you know, religion. If you look at like the Islam religion, not all of them, well, the majority of them are really good, upstanding citizens. You have the little minority that are knobheads. Same thing in the Corps. Same thing in the general population.
You only ever hear about knobheads, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah. And so they give them a bad name or whatever. But that's not to say it doesn't happen. I just maybe haven't experienced much of it because I'm white. I might have a different story if I was black.
So similar to that, but slightly differently. To what extent are individuals who express views that conflict the status quo, to what extent are they ostracised?
I'd say relatively heavily, but not because of some what you might think, because they're racist or homophobic or whatever. I think it's because, say, a leftist view is maybe associated with like pacifism, you know, that kind of thing.
The left-right debate.
Yeah, so if you're like on the left or a little bit woke, then the general association with that is that you're against warfare, all that kind of thing. Obviously, in the Marines, you're there to fight fucking war, so there is a disconnect there and there is a clash of views if that's the case. But it's not because, again, people are homophobic or racist. It's because you're in that business.
Yeah.
You know, you're in that business. It's almost like working for Miller and Carter Steakhouse
and being
vegan or vegetarian.
Yeah.
So that's how I'd look at that, I think.
Did you suffer with that?
No, I wasn't too. I think I'm quite central with my views. Maybe you disagree.
I think you are.
Certainly I am now anyway, since like getting a little bit older maybe. So no, probably I was alright with that.
But I think the problem with being centrist, and I think this is something that we both suffer with, this is a bit of a diversion. But if you sit in the middle,
yeah,
someone that sits either side of the middle will just think you belong to the opposite camp.
Oh yeah.
So if you're a centrist and you're talking to someone that's, I don't know, has predominantly right-wing views,
Yeah.
they'll
You're
just,
automatically left.
yeah, you're automatically left because you don't agree with everything that they agree
Yeah,
with. But the whole
there
point...
is that absolute problem with politics, isn't it? You're either dealing with absolutes, aren't you? You're either really, really left or really, really right. There's no like middle ground, which I think is an issue.
That's the whole problem with the culture debate. Sorry, this is a real tangent. The whole problem with the culture debate is that we live in a democracy.
Yeah.
So things aren't absolute.
No,
like, you do have to compromise with people.
We're not in Russia.
Yeah, you can't have everything your own way.
Yeah, and people don't like that.
People are so entrenched in their own camps now. There's no give on either side.
Yeah, the problem is with, again, deep dive, with socials and stuff. Social media obviously feeds you what you want to see and what you stay on long enough. So you create for yourself an echo chamber of your own views. Therefore, you only think that what you think is right. You get that confirmation bias, reinforced. And so when someone comes with an opposite perspective, you're like, it's so alien to you because you haven't seen it for all this scrolling you've been doing.
Yeah, you're just stuck
through
in
Karen's Facebook feed.
Stuck in an echo chamber. Well, sticking to the politics theme, we might as well just bat them all out the cage while they're here.
Yeah, this is welcome to the politics podcast.
Yeah. To what extent is there a class divide between regular Marines and officers?
Okay, fairly heavily, probably less so now. Again, like as you get more modern, things probably even out a little bit more.
Yeah, I was going to say this is purely historically. You would assume that officers privately educated and
a Marine is
upper middle class, and then just a Marine is working class.
Yeah, I think so. Less so in the Marines, I would probably say. More so in the Army. Reason being, the Army, you have to go Sandhurst. You go completely separate place. It's quite elitist in terms of you've gone to a separate Sandhurst college. You'll get educated on etiquette and all this sort of stuff to be a proper officer.
And also, a lot of the private schools in the UK are effectively feeder schools to Sandhurst.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you're a boarder from a young age, like you're effectively like in training already.
Yeah, exactly. So it feeds into that lifestyle anyway. And then with the Marines, though, you go to Lympstone if you're an officer, and you do the same training as the lads, and then you just do another lot of officer training. So it's a little bit different in the way they do things because the Army officers don't do.
Yeah,
just infantry training.
Yeah, I've never thought of it like that before.
Yeah.
Kudos to the Marines.
Yeah,
so it's like the officers almost have to earn their stripes, don't they?
Literally. Yeah. So that means that when you see an officer out and about, typically if they're a Marine officer, you know that one, they've done everything you've done and more.
Yeah,
so it instantly gets to them that respect from the lads. So I would say probably less so because it's so difficult, and it's the fact that you have to almost be like. You want to be a Marine, but you've got that like affinity for leadership, or you want to be in charge, then you'd be an officer. Whereas I think with Army, sometimes, and certainly with Navy and RAF, you're educated and trained at a completely different place, and it just creates that disconnect straight away. I've always seen it as that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that can't be healthy for an institution.
It manifests as well.
Yeah.
So like officers in the Marines, if you don't salute them, generally they won't give a shit. They won't care, and they'll just be like, "Oh fucking hell," or they might tell you off a little bit. If you don't salute in the Army or the Air Force or the Navy, it's like it's a big, massive thing. You get disciplined, you get all this shit. Because it's such an institution. Whereas you get a little bit more freedom and treated like a little bit more of a grown-up in the Marines. That's my experience anyway. I get loads of comments now like, I'm in the Army, it's fucking not like that. All these
yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
Jog on.
Yeah, fuck off.
Right, it's time to set the cat amongst the pigeons now.
Right, here we go.
This is where we get cancelled.
Okay, sweet.
It's been nice. We made it to 5 episodes. In fact, no, we made it to 4
4.
episodes. Right, okay, so I know we've spoken about this off camera, so I know we both have...
yeah.
I know we both have strong opinions about this.
Clip this.
To what extent are the Royal Marines letting their standards slip due to political pressures surrounding equality and diversity, specifically in relation to the female question?
Okay, so I don't have any insider knowledge. Let's just preface this with I'm not the top of making these decisions, so I don't know why these things are happening. However, there is a correlation between women and people getting let into the Marines and standards dropping. Are they related? I don't know, but it follows, doesn't it? Like, we've opened up for women. No one's passed so far.
Yeah, I was going to say, just to cover some basic housekeeping, as far as I'm aware, there are no female...
So women have passed the All Arms.
Marines.
So the All Arms course is the one. So if you're in the army currently, if you're like in the army or an army officer and you want your green beret, you can go and do a 13-week course at Livingston where you get your beret. There's like two girls who've passed that.
So there are female army commandos.
Yes, but no female Royal Marines commandos. That's the
Right.
That's the difference. But I think because of that, because no females have passed for whatever reason, whether it's because of a physical limitation or just because there's not the interest there, it could be anything. They've started to lower standards. I don't know if it's for that reason, but that's how I kind of perceive it. Like the entrance standards for the CPC now, for candidate preparation course, are a lot lower than when I went in. The actual course has been redesigned, and in my view, is much easier. There's now, when you go to training, I know we've spoken about this as well. So you have recruit orientation phase, which is 4 weeks of essentially bedding in before you then get sent with training. That could be perceived as dropping things a little bit or making things a little bit easier or more accessible, because you've got to now go in at a lower entrance level until you can be trained up to 4 weeks, then you can go in. So that would be my view on it. I think.
So are these things being introduced basically to shoehorn females in to the corps?
Potentially.
Or are there other factors at play as well? Is there a general feeling that it's like too hard in like the woke era?
No, I think people understand that it's a demanding job, and that if you have to do what they have to do in a combat zone, then you've got to be of a general physical fitness. I think that's understood by people. I think what does happen is sometimes there's like control, or there's catastrophes that happen during training exercises and stuff like that, where someone will go down with something really bad and like heat exhaustion or something like that in the CPC stage. So before they're actually on the Marines payroll, they're obviously still insured, but the questions will be asked then: why have you pushed this person so hard? Why weren't they hydrated? Why weren't they, all this sort of stuff? Why were they underslept? Why have they injured themselves?
Yeah.
So all these inquests will go on, and so many of those can happen before like someone has to answer for it, and then they'll be like, oh well, okay, we'll pull the standards back, or we'll pull the intensity back, right? So that's probably something to do with it as well. Someone's probably got really badly injured, maybe sued or something like that.
Because there are instances of that, aren't there?
Yeah, there was some on Special Forces selection not long ago. Was it on a couple of years ago?
On the Brecon Beacons?
Yeah, so on a couple of years, probably 8 years ago now it is, 2 reservists died, unfortunately, on Special Forces selection because of heat.
Yeah, it was heat exhaustion, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, no compromise has been made there. Because
it's an awkward one, isn't it? But at the end of the day, you know what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
And the whole point of these elite fighting units is that they are like a cut above the rest.
Yeah, and the whole point of the selection process is to weed out the people who aren't physically and mentally able to do it. So my PRMC, CPC now, my PRMC, we had loads of people just leave because they couldn't handle it. And should those people have stayed in and got through it because it's an easier course, what would have happened? They'd have then gone to training. The Marines and the government, at the end of the day, would have invested loads of money into them, paying them, feeding them, clothing them. And then they would have left in 6 months because they still can't handle it. But now it's just pushed down the line. So they're kicking the can down the road a little bit and actually investing into someone who's never actually going to do the job. So it's actually
it looks good for like diversity quotas.
Yeah.
But it's actually costing effectively the taxpayer money.
It could be, and the other counter argument to that, which I'll play devil's advocate a little bit, is that if you can get someone through the door and into a training process, then that person might, in months and months and months,
they might flourish.
They might go to that level,
well,
and then you'll have more people passing out at the end of the day, which is what they want because they're on demand. So. It's a difficult one. You don't know until you're really. It's
a hard one. It's weird for such an old institution to stay relevant.
Yeah.
In the 21st century, I guess. So it's just striking that balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I like the whole mystery around.
I think
training and how infamously hard it is.
I think it's nice, and it obviously produces a certain type of person, a certain type of soldier. There's actually anecdotally you can notice some of the people passing out nowadays maybe aren't the same ilk as when my corporals and sergeants would have passed out. It's just because things have changed. But is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Who knows? It will only manifest itself later on down the line.
Well, time will tell in a few years when we fight in Russia. So
Yeah,
if it all goes tits
if
up,
we lose, then
we'll be
that's
pointing fingers at Limpston, mate.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Right, so the good news is we got through all the serious stuff now.
Oh, happy days.
So I can put my silly hat on again.
Perfect. Silly hat.
Fucking clip that. The bad news is I'm probably now going to put you in some rather awkward situations.
Okay.
So, from your experience on a night out,
Yeah.
are you more likely to pull or get into a scrap?
Ooh. It definitely depends who you are.
You should caveat that.
Yeah,
Depends
yeah.
if you're a bellend or
Yeah,
not.
exactly. Yeah. Typically, if you're, probably it depends. It depends on so many variables. Like, where are you going? Who are you with?
Right, okay, let's create some artificial context.
Create some context for me.
Hypothetically,
Yeah.
you've passed out,
Okay.
so you're a trained rank,
Yeah. Where are you going out?
local,
So
or in Exeter.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're with a small group of lads,
Right.
and you're all single.
I'll probably say you're more likely to pull, but only because that's probably if you take if I was to take my nights out and put them in and siphon them off into had a scrap or pulled, it would be pulled more of the time.
Nice flow diagram.
Yeah. But that's only because I guess someone probably has to start on you because in training you've got a point to prove. Afterwards you kind of realise
There's nothing.
There's not really any point. So probably I would say pull.
All right, so if you come at it from a different angle,
Yeah.
how many scraps did you get into on a night out
During training.
during training, and then to compare it to after training?
Okay. More in training, much more. Yeah. I'd probably say, and this isn't like me initiating or me.
This is just
being in
something
it,
happening
just
to
like
the
my
group.
group.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll probably say 4 or 5 times in training maybe, and then probably 1, maybe 2 afterwards. Might not even that.
Okay,
Yeah,
talking
not
low
many.
numbers.
Yeah, not many.
Any good stories?
Well, that one, I'll tell that one the other day where someone ran across and nutted someone.
Yeah, he dropped the nut straight away.
in. Yeah, that one.
Is that the best one?
That one's pretty good. Also, another one. Me and one, I'll out him. I'm not gonna name him. Me and one of the lad were outside a club, and it was the night where the boxing was on, and everyone's riled up.
What?
It is, innit?
On a side note, why does everyone turn into a massive helmet?
Everyone turns into fucking Tyson Fury as soon as they've seen boxing for the first time.
Yeah, because they've watched 3 rounds of an average heavyweight fight.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But it was 3 or 4 Scottish geezers. And for some reason they took issue. Oh, we were getting in their taxi, when you have that taxi debacle. So we were getting in their taxi. They were like, "It's our fucking taxi." Anyway, taxi fucked off. So that was the taxi was like, I'm getting out of here. And then that wasn't the issue anymore. Now the Scots were just rolled up and had someone to point their anger at.
Yeah.
And they started wrapping belts around their fists. So that
Jesus Christ!
that wasn't a good. That wasn't a good time. And one of the lads scarpered and just fucked off. And I was like, brilliant. I think it was just
one of your lads.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, he ended up passing out as well. And then there was 2 of us left, and we ended up having a scrap with these Scots. And then I think
Fucking
I'm pretty
boys.
sure I can't really remember what happened.
Get a fucking Uber, man.
Yeah, trust. I can't even remember what happened, but for some reason it stopped, and I want to say that one of the lads broke it up in his fucking nails, but that might have been another time. I don't know. But anyway, one of the lads was Danny Irvin, shout out, was a Muay Thai Scottish champion, and he was a fucking beast.
He was
mate.
a fucking
and he's
unit,
6'4", and he's 200 pounds. So he just fucking any scrap that's going on, be like, Danny, get in there.
Just fold everyone in half.
Yeah, exactly, mate. So that's a good asset to have. The asset. Yeah, so it's good.
So what is the etiquette around pulling on a night out?
Okay.
Is it
etiquette?
And what I mean by that is,
Explain.
do you go in straight away with marine game?
Okay. No.
Or is it frowned upon?
It's frowned,
due to
it's frowned
potentially
upon.
Security reasons,
Not-
and the fact that you look like a helmet.
Yeah, not security reasons, but just because, for the most part, not security reasons sometimes. But just because you do sound like a bit of a knobhead. And
also,
it's difficult to explain what you do.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
No, this is
so
a
if
thing.
you tell someone you're a marine they're like, oh, so what do you do? And it's just so hard. I'll link them the fucking podcast episode first. Like, I don't really know how to describe that when I'm shouting in some bird's ear in a club. And so what we used to do was just used to make up ridiculous, random things that we used to do that don't exist.
Go on, list them off.
Like penguin erector.
That's a
Can we
classic.
explain that one? So
Yeah.
people know
No,
that
we'll explain all of
one?
them.
Okay. So I used to go out in Scotland. We used to say we worked at Edinburgh Zoo, and what would happen is it's right by the airport, and so planes would fly over the zoo, and the penguins would have a look up, and they'd fall on their backs. And penguins, when they fall on their back, they can't get up. So we would have to. That's our job, penguin erector, and we would get the penguins back on their feet. That was
brilliant.
That was one of them. And again, because they say what do you do, then you can start to have a little bit of dialogue with them. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, if you're bevved up and you say earnestly, they'll believe you.
Mate, many people believed it's ridiculous. And then the other one was, I'll only say two. The other one was dolphin shaver. So I'll explain that one. So again, the zoo. I don't know why the zoo would always come up. But they'd be like, oh, sick, so what do you do? I'd be like, so, when you go around to like the aquatic bit of the zoo and you notice that the dolphins are so smooth, like they're really, really shiny, aren't they? Yeah, that's our job. That we're sick. Like, so proud of our job. Like every dolphin you see is smooth as a baby's bottom. So that's our job. Shaving dolphins. They get really hairy if you leave them. So
just you grafting with a bit, like, morning, noon, and night.
Yeah, more shaving foam. But yeah, so that was the major two that we'd both animal related, funnily enough, and both zoo related. But take with that what you will.
Yeah, because, like, to be fair, like, when we talk to our, like, the lads, just about, like, the Marines and that, like,
no one's a clue.
Unless you're a bit of, like, unless you've either served or you're just a bit of a nose, me, like, you actually don't know the distinction. Like, it's all just...
like we're saying, and the reason kind of for this podcast is that it's shrouded in a bit of mystery, isn't it? And so that's why we're doing this. But yeah, saying it to someone on the night out, they're like, "What? So you're in the army?" So no, it's not.
Yeah,
great.
and then you just setting yourself up to
and
fail.
then you have to go, no, the army's different to the Marines.
Well, no, actually, it's part of the Navy.
Yeah,
and then you've immediately lost them.
Yeah,
and also,
see ya.
Anyone who's in the immediate vicinity who's overheard the conversation now thinks you're rebelling.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like
you're never going to win.
It's like that meme, with that lad in the club, he's chewing that bird's ear off, and she just looks completely uninterested, stood there like that.
I've seen that live so many times. It's brilliant. Go on. Anyway, that's quite funny.
Right, okay, so that's that's the night out question.
Okay, got you.
We
can relax.
Arguably gonna go even sillier now.
Okay, great, perfect. I like it.
This relates back to communal showering.
Always the nakedness with it.
It is. Yeah. Right. Did the lad with the smallest Corey get abused in training?
No, typically.
Because I'm relating this back to like school, and everyone's like mad insecure about like being naked and stuff. Is it so normalised?
Yeah.
That no one gives a shit.
No one gives a shit. So normalised, unless there's a massive one, right? Or
right. Well, actually, scrap that because that evoked a memory. Then we'll flip it on its head.
Memory?
Yeah.
Go on.
Who's the bloke with a massive chopper?
I think he was called Taylor Lawrence.
I love the way you just outed him as well. Yeah.
So,
search him on Pornhub.
Yeah. There you go. So Taylor, if you're out there, big knob. Anyway, the ones with the most obscure.
Fucking such a weird conversation.
Clip that. The most obscure penis would often get abused.
What, like the Elephant Man equivalent of
like, massive foreskin or whatever. I waited till I took a drink to that. So like so again, if he's listening, he'll know.
Yeah, shout out to the foreskin guy.
Massive bell end, whatever it was.
Mushroom man.
And again, they wouldn't get they get celebrated more than anything else. Anyway, off the penis tour. What's next?
Sorry, that completely sidetracked me. Right, okay, so what is your favourite piece of core slang?
Ooh.
Because, well, to be fair, I'm quite exposed to it now.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you still...
What's your favourite piece? Do you have one, or do you remember them?
I like that you call women lizards. It's not even really slang, but I just like that.
I like that one.
Does that come from the fact that like lizards are cold-blooded and women are supposedly cold-hearted?
Maybe. I don't know.
Because I was thinking about it earlier.
Maybe. The other one for women, if they're in the Navy, I guess, is wrens, but that's not really a slang. That's everyone does that, I think. I don't know.
I've never heard that before.
Okay. Well, wren is a female in the Navy.
Right, this is why it's important to iron it out, because you become so normalised to it, and I do now as well.
Yeah,
I've started to use it, and I've never even fucking been in the military.
Like entire Instagram pages with like bootneck dictionary and stuff.
That's the thing,
I know.
Isn't it? You can buy it.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think you sell.
I think there's a bootneck to English dictionary.
Yeah.
And it's basically just.
It will be quite long as well. Like I don't realise, because it's so much part of, like you say, part of my vocabulary, that so many of them aren't normal slangs. Like, yeah, it's just so strange. And if I don't generally speak in it too much now because I've been out so long, but if I see someone in the call I'm speaking to them, straight back, yeah. It's almost like an accent, when you go back to, if someone's moved away and then they go back to home.
Yeah, it's like when you pick up your local dialect.
Yeah, straight back.
There is a few that you use gash, honking, redders.
Yeah, I mean, gash is quite a good one.
Gash is a good one. I use gash now.
It doesn't just mean...
It's a one-size-fits-all term.
Yeah, it doesn't just mean a woman's vagina, by the way. That is what it's for, isn't it, I guess.
I think, in Civvy Street,
but it just means anything that's bad, really. Anything that's that we don't like is gash. So there you go, you can use that down the pub next time you make a call.
Because there's some overlap with like generic military slang as well, but then there's actually like corps specific slang as well.
There's differences as well. There's differences between corps and the army. Like, we call it scran, they call it scoff food.
Is the naffy another one?
Yeah. Oh no, naffy's cookhouse and galley.
That's the one.
But that's not really slang. It's just like how we call it, because a galley's on a ship, and so even if we're on camp, it'll call it galley. Even if we're going out on the piss, we call it going ashore. And the reason for that is because of the Navy. You would shore up and then you'd go ashore.
So I think some other ones. Yomping and tabbing.
Yeah, difference. Yeah, good. Same thing, but they get called different things. Yomping, I feel like it's got to be the original, surely.
I think it just sounds better as well. Yomping.
The Marines are better at it, so that's the long and short of it.
Right, moving on slightly, but around the same theme.
Okay.
Best nicknames.
Nicknames that I had.
Not that you had, that you came across in the corps. I feel like the military is such a fertile ground for nicknames.
You might have to come back to me on this while I think of a good one, otherwise I'll ruin it. Come back to me on that.
Right, okay, we'll part that for a sec.
Part that one.
Right, okay. This is a hypothetical question I came up with earlier.
Okay.
How easy would it be to smuggle munitions out of camp?
Well, this happened. I don't know if the Marine, if it was a Marine,
accidentally or deliberately.
An Irish bloke in the army.
Ooh, that's a red flag.
Shitloads out, mate, like loads, and started selling it, I think, and then got found out. It's not easy, I wouldn't say, but it's probably not difficult either if you were to try. There's like, you basically get checked as you leave the range, but if you were to actively hide something.
Yeah, so talk us through it then, like from start to finish. Say like you're going out on the ranges.
So if you're going out on the ranges, you get issued all your stuff. So you get cleared on and cleared off, right? So there's like a threshold you have to cross to get onto the range. They'll make sure you haven't got any munitions going on for some reason. So anything untoward, so it's just your weapon and your webbing empty, right? Weapon and webbing empty, and then you'll cross the threshold. You'll get issued all your stuff at the firing point. So you get issued all your ammo, your grenades, your smoke grenades, all that shit that's munitions.
So do you go up literally just to like a hut?
Yeah,
like, there's stores bloke in there or something.
All the corporals in the hierarchy will bring it with them in a van, and they'll offload it, and then they'll be stood there. They'll be like the range NCO at the range.
Okay, officer. So it's not like Grand Theft Auto when you go to the gun shop.
Not really.
And like you speak to someone over
I guess
the counter.
It is like when you go to the armory and get your weapon, but it's not loaded, and the weapons are kept in a different place to the ammunition, obviously. And so you go and get your stuff. You get loaded with it, and you go and fire. If you've got anything left over, it's on you then to like de-bomb it, or your rounds, or get rid of your smoke grenades if you want to throw them, or if you want to. Obviously, you don't just throw them wherever, but if you want to actually get rid of them properly, or you want to just give them back, and then when you cross that threshold again to go off the range, you'll get cleared off. So they'll go round. You'll do a declaration, which is a legal thing. So you'll tell them, I have no ammunition parts or natures in my possession, and I'll report anyone who does, and then they'll check your pouches and check your pockets and shit to make sure you haven't got anything, and then you fuck off. But again, that's like, they only check really so that if you hadn't made a mistake and potentially left something in, then they would find it. But if you were to actively try and hide something,
then you get caught.
You probably could, and yeah, if you get caught, you'd be fucked. There was a lad in training, because you're in training, you're flapping, you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
He'd made that declaration. So you make one as a group. So you say, I have no ammunition natures. And then as they come round to each person before they check you off, you then make one again. And of course, lying in training is a fucking big no-no. Having no integrity is a big no-no. But also having like the lack of professionalism to check your stuff is also not a good thing. So he was like, yeah, for sure, like sure as day, got nothing, yeah, 100%. Then they check him, they open his pouch, one entire magazine worth of ammunition, and they're like, yeah, what's that then? Go and get in the oggin. So that's another slang, by the way. Oggin is water. But yeah, so like he had to run down to the sea, fully submerge himself, and come back. But that was a good time for him. So you could, but you don't really, essentially.
With your rifle, you get issued one in training.
Yeah.
Does that stay with you?
No, it does throughout training, so you get 0 to you, so you get it.
So you get your...
Because everyone's position's different, everyone's body's different, so you have to get 0 to that rifle. You'll do that, and that rifle, while you're at that unit, you'll keep it, yeah? So then when you move units, you'll then do the same process. You'll 0 it, you'll get given a number for a rifle, that will stay with you. Generally, that's how it's done.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you kept changing rifles, you just have no 0, and even like a really good marksman with an unzeroed weapon is useless.
Yeah. So it's not like in the films when you see them like etching their name into like the butt of their rifle.
No, that probably happens more in the US, I would imagine, but maybe not.
Right. Okay. Moving on. Good that you mentioned that lad getting a bollocking.
Okay.
That leads us nicely on to our next question.
Right.
Biggest bollocking you ever received?
Oh, I've ever received. The one that jumps to the forefront of my mind. I don't know if I told this either. When I got back from Bournemouth on a night out, and I'll tell it in full anyway. So I went out with the lads on a Wednesday. We were currently this is when I passed out as well, so I was a Marine at this point. We went out to Bournemouth, got on it, whatever. We, as a troop, were getting told at that point we were being shit. We were really shit troop. We shouldn't fucking go out and get pissed and take the piss because we need to be training, we need to be doing all this. Right, anyway. We take the piss, don't listen. Go out to Bournemouth. Oh, they'll never know. Way. And then
on a fucking Wednesday as well.
On a Wednesday, got back at 6 a.m. Had to be at work for 8:30. We were in single living accommodation, so we went into our own rooms. When I was pissed, I'd always lock my room because the lads would be like rampant in the accommodation, so you'd never fucking sleep basically if you left your room open. So I lock my room, go to sleep, think I'd set an alarm. Classic, your fucking phone runs out of battery, doesn't go off. So it's like 9:15. I get a bang on my door with one of the lads. He's like, "Fuck, shit!" One of the, whatever his name is, he's fucking going mental. Why aren't you down line? And then I get my shit together in a semi-conscious state. Walk down, or I had to get a lift down because it's quite a way, and you couldn't drive in that state. I was still pissed. And because I was still pissed, I didn't realise the gravity of the situation. So I went straight to his office. This bloke who was absolutely fuming. Knocked on his door. Was stood there, confident to tell him what was going on because I was pissed. And then he just left me for a bit. You know when like you see in films, the interrogators leave them stewing for a bit.
Yeah, just to stew with their own thoughts.
Left me like doing his admin. I was stood there. He left me like doing his admin, and he was like, "Where the fuck have you been?" I was like, "Oh, sorry, I overslept," and all this sort of stuff. He's like, "You've been fucking out the night before." He's like, "Go and stand outside in front of the mural or whatever." So again, did the same. I went in and stood outside, and all the lads could see because there's like a big window to where I was stood. So I was like stood trying not to laugh. And then again, he did like left me stewing for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I love that.
I then came down. In that 15 minutes, he'd got 2 lads to go and get 4 jerry cans full of water and give them to them. So you get 4 fucking 20-litre jerry cans of water. He then was like, right, give me your phone, give me your notepad. So I gave him all my perishables, and then he was like, upturn that jerry can on your head. So this is like in the middle of the fucking,
so you're on full display to everyone. Display.
So not just, so on our camp there was like civilians, there was army, there was everyone. This is like 8:30.
So this is a public humiliation.
Everyone's rocking up to work, seeing me just upturn jerry cans on my head, fuming. And then he sent me running a little bit, like, had me crawling, all that sort of stuff, standard issue. And then our camp was, like where we worked, was about 800 metres on separate camp to where we lived. And so I was piss wrapped, obviously covered in water, heavy, drunk. And he was like, right, you've got 10 minutes, you're going to, or something like that, 15 minutes, unrealistic timing. Sprint up to the top of camp where we live, get your immaculate rig on, which obviously I didn't have ready because I was pissed, and then sprint back and report here in 15 minutes, go. So I sprint out, the guy on gate fucking laughing at me like I'm absolutely pissed wrapped, going straight up the line, past all the kids who were going to school, and then just about got back in time. I'd obviously just been sprinting around doing loads of stuff, dehydrated, underfed, all this. Like I was in a bad way.
Yeah.
I get back in time. He's like, right, good effort. Don't fucking do it again. He wasn't done, it turned out. so he was like...
That was just level 1.
Yeah, so I stood, I was like, got back, I was spinning the dip to all the lads. I was like, yeah, I've been fucking...
Playing your mouth, thinking you got away with it. Exactly. And then he got humbled.
Exactly that, yeah. So basically, then he came in. This wasn't a reaction, he was just still playing on his thing. He came in and he was like, all right, go up to the top. We've got a troop run in 20 minutes, whatever. So, troop run in boots. Again, I haven't drank by this point. I've been sprinting around. I've been working hard, whatever. We then go on this run. It was to be 6 or 7 miles. They set off with the intent to lose people, the people who'd been out. So like all the rest of the lads had been out, rocked up work on time, so he didn't know. He knew I'd been out, so he set off at like 6:15 minute per mile pace. And then, luckily, I was really fit, and so was the other lads who'd been out. So we managed to stay with him for ages. Yeah. He must have been like, fucking, I can't fucking shake him. Anyway, and then he took us through the water, and it just hit me. So he took us through the water, I got heavy again, and then my dehydration levels hit me like a ton of bricks. And this is like the worst felt I've ever felt. Worse than 30 miler.
Really?
Worse than
fucking hell, that must have been bad.
It was terrible. And so I'm like zigzagging. I'm told, I don't remember this. I'm zigzagging across the road, like trying to stay with the troop. We had to go past the pub. He had to stop the troop, go in and get a glass of water for me because he knew I thought I was going to die. And then it sort of petered out from there.
It's come full circle.
Yeah.
Started and ended in a pub.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a nice closure.
Luckily, you didn't get me a pint and make me down it. But yeah, I mean that was one of the worst ones, and that was just because it's at the forefront of my mind. Because every time I see that corporal, and every time I see anyone who's in that vein, they just remind me of it every single time. Like, oh, do you remember when so and so thrashed you? So yeah,
that is shit. There is an art to punishment given in the military, though. I think,
and that was for being 15 minutes late. So now, when I'm in a civilian job and someone's late and nothing gets said, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is mental.
Or like working from home, where you just clock in when you want.
Roll out of bed.
Where you literally can go out every night if you want.
So yeah, don't do that, kids, if you're in the Marines.
So that's the worst punishment that you ever got. Is there any kind of like notorious, like almost folk stories of punishments past?
This is like, to be fair, I can say this, 'cause this is in the papers. At 4-3, so when we were behind the wire and that kind of thing, we had the 3 leagues behind the wire. So it would get quite silly, some of the games we would play, like to catch each other out or
I think you've
to
told
punish
me
each
about
other.
this.
I might have told you off air, yeah.
So like a kangaroo court almost.
Yeah, literally a kangaroo court. So you would get up, you would announce what you'd done wrong in that last 24 hours. You would then march out the room. You would get a court of the lads trying to decide what punishment to give you. Early on in that 3 week setting, it would be pretty sensible stuff, like it would relate to the crime. And then later on down the line, if you messed up loads of times, it would like grow arms and legs and just become ridiculous. Yeah. And so what happened eventually, and again, I'm told this, I wasn't there, wasn't on that Farge and wasn't even in the Corps, I think, at this point, but one of the lads in the gym, I think this was for something, I don't know what he did, right, but anyway, he's in the gym, they've hung him upside down, naked, right, and then they've all whipped him until he passed out. Now, clearly, I'm not like
This sounds
I'm not like making light of this because this is horrendous. And if that was me, I'd have been fucking. There's no chance they would have got me hung upside down by that point. But that was one that I've heard that's notorious and is like the worst ones really.
That is mental. I mean, apart from
think about that as in a workplace, like,
and aside from the fact that it's very homoerotic.
Yeah.
But but
it wasn't whipped as in like playfully. It was like fucked. It was like
yes,
with malice.
I'm fascinated by this. So has he gone along with that? With under the idea that it would be like playful,
no,
and
so
they've got him up there and just like fucking.
No, so it's an abuse of power. So it's the corporal or whatever in that situation or sergeant telling him this is your order. This is your punishment for fucking up this week. You have to do this, and he's thinking right, and he's in his head. It's either I do that or I get like a formal punishment, which are always shit. So yeah, he's thinking he's got to do it, otherwise he's insubordinate.
And that made the papers.
Well, they got arrested for it, the corporals and that. Yeah, so probably in prison.
And this was before.
This was when. Yeah, this was ages ago.
So it was reined in when you were at 4-3.
Yeah. Massively.
But it still escalated though, didn't it?
It was still escalated a little bit, but not like terrible. Like there was nothing like physical harm, for example. There was like more so something like Schmeagol. We've told you about that, haven't I? So what was about Schmeagol?
Fucking Schmeagol. Is that where?
Yeah,
on the treadmill.
So I was playing. So the dice would be used heavily in these situations. So you would a punishment will be attached to each, like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So if you rolled a 2, you would get Schmeagol, and then you would
roll. Name, by the way.
You would roll for like distance, or you'd maybe just do a standardised mile or half mile, depending on the troop. You would tie one wrist to one ankle,
so the opposite ankle.
To the opposite angle. You would get on a treadmill, and you'd have to walk / crawl a mile
/ roll.
Yeah, the only experience I've had with that is someone doing half a mile, so 800 metres. This took them 46 minutes. So 800 metres in 46 minutes. Can you imagine doing it?
2 laps of a running track.
Yeah, can you imagine doing a mile? Which would be like half marathon. Marathon duration.
Fair play to the guy for doing 800 metres.
I know, yeah, fair play. I never had to do that, luckily.
Schmeagol's got... So what are the other numbers of the dice then? If Schmeagol's 2?
It's different with every troop, but one of them was a gas mask run. So this would be, again, standardised, kind of, you'd wear your gas mask, be on the treadmill, you'd have to do 4 miles.
Oh, that's horrible.
In 32 minutes. So 8-minute miles with a gas mask for 32 minutes. Fucking horrendous. And again, lads who are super fit, but yeah, I'll have that easy, no problem.
Free fizz.
Yeah, free fizz. So that was another one that was fizz based. Yeah, there's loads of them. But one of them I can't say, I won't say, because we will probably get cancelled. But yeah, next question.
I think that's pretty much it, lad.
Okay, sweet.
So I've got a true or false game we can play.
Lovely.
And then we'll finish with
the tradition.
Yeah.
Sick.
Right, okay, so we've got 4 statements.
Okay.
And
myth busting.
Myth busting, this is proper myth busting, bit of history thrown in there.
Okay.
And this is to test your knowledge of the core.
Shit. Here we go. Yeah,
I reckon you'll do alright.
This is when I lose all my clients. Nah, go on.
And I'm not going to tell you how many true and how many false, because that'll make it easy for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Right, okay, so we've got 4 statements. The first one, the Royal Marines are older than the United States of America.
True.
Yeah.
No, is it true?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
so the Royal Marines can be traced back to 1664.
17 something for the...
Yeah, whereas America didn't declare independence from Britain until 1776.
Sort of.
Which is mad if you think about it.
Isn't it? Yeah, I thought... Because I was going to... The reason I was getting confused was the Royal Marines were 1664. The Royal Marines Commandos were like 1948 or 1945.
Yeah, it's a trick question.
It's not really, but yeah, sick. One in the bag.
1 out of 4.
Yeah.
This is for 50%. The Royal Marines hold the world record for speed marching.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's an easy one, isn't it? In fact, I think they made a documentary about that a few years ago.
Yeah, I've seen clips of that. It's like a marathon, isn't it? Is it a marathon?
Yeah, so it's a marathon distance.
That's mental.
And they've got like 40 pounds of weight.
Yeah.
And I think I've written it down, they did it in 4 hours, 16 minutes.
Fuck off. That's bizarre, mate.
Bear in mind we're running the London
Yeah.
Marathon, and we're going to be absolutely buzzing if we get like 3 hours 30
Oh mate, 100%.
to like 3:45 or whatever.
Yeah.
They
And
did it like 45 minutes slower
That's
with
ridiculous.
like 20 kilos on their back.
They had a couple of cracks at that. I remember the show.
Yeah, I remember watching it. I think you might have put me onto it.
They had
Did
like
they
a
do an
3 or
attempt
4.
and then they didn't, like the
One of the lads
adjudica-
dropped out.
Yeah, so they
Yeah, so
didn't
they
allow the
couldn't do
time. Yeah.
It's a team effort, innit? So one of the lads dropped.
Right, okay. Statement number 3.
Let's go.
Are you ready?
Mm.
The Royal Marines have been awarded the highest number of Victoria Crosses of all the major units of the British Armed Forces. False.
Surely.
Yeah, it's false.
Yeah. You say we never get them.
Yeah, so the Royal Marines have been awarded 10.
Yeah.
And the Royal Artillery Corps actually got the most.
That's it.
51.
Fuck, 51.
That's partially a numbers game, I'm guessing.
I was going to say, I thought that would be true because of the numbers. The Marines in any given time has probably got 6,000 to 8,000 people in, which is nothing really.
Yeah, and I feel like historically as well, the Royal Artillery Corps probably got an absolute hammering.
Yeah, true. They would have been a key player in most of the conflicts.
Right, okay, this is my favourite one.
Okay.
And it links back to what we were talking about earlier.
Alright, here we go.
Okay.
I'm buzzing.
No woman has ever served as a Royal Marine.
I think it's true, but there was someone... Oh no, it's false because she faked being a man. Is that right? Yeah. What's her name now?
He nailed it. Oh yeah, bonus point if you can get the name. We'll be really impressed with this.
Anne something, no? Am I wrong?
No.
Okay.
Hannah Snell.
Hannah Snell, of course it is, yeah. It's
I was amazed to find this
yeah,
out. Like,
when was it?
in the
You
18th
got-
century, so
okay,
1700, something. So, yeah, she was called Hannah Snell. She fought as a Marine for over 2 years, disguised as a man.
That's mental.
Right.
That's that Blackadder episode.
Yeah, it literally is. It's about the same time as well.
Yeah, that's it.
So, apparently she's very adept at killing French people.
Class.
She injured over 12 times in battle.
Yeah.
She's born in Worcester, actually, so
Legend.
fairly local.
Yeah.
And when she retired, she opened a pub.
That's mental.
That's class.
She's an absolute lad.
Yeah, what a lad.
If sex changes were a thing, she'd have definitely been getting all up in that. Yeah, go on. That was sick.
Yeah, so that was it.
4 out of 4.
4 out of 4, love that.
Yes.
You've proved your credentials.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Link in bio for personal training.
Right, let's finish with the tradition.
Yes. Okay, I'll get it up.
Get it up.
I'll get it up. Hold on.
Try and do less nudity this week.
Yeah, see if you can. Problem is, editing these, I've got to go back and find which ones we used.
Oh, yeah, so you've actually got to watch.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Right, okay, what am I looking at here? Have we done the bath one?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I don't think we have done the
Okay.
bath one. This is jumping out at me.
Okay, I'm sure it is. Oh, that one. Okay. That's one of my good mates' Instagrams, which we'll blur out.
Yeah, so for the visually impaired of audio listeners,
Okay, yeah.
we've got a screenshot of an old Instagram post of 2 lads in a bath, naked. One of them's got aviators on and is holding 2 beers.
Yeah, well described. You see, the 2 lads in the bath didn't even jump out at me. Really strange. That didn't even like constitute weird to me. But yeah, that I think was like on a weekend away during training potentially.
Like I say, this is during training.
They're both Welsh, so that might have played into it. They could have gone home on a long weekend, and
They've chose to
bathe together. Yeah, I mean they're prioritising their recovery and leisure, so I like it. You know, they're recovering and they're getting some beers on the go.
Oh, I'm just
Love-
I'm
love to
laughing
see
at the
it.
photo that I've just seen.
Okay.
But going back to that, so in Civvy Street, if a photo like that was posted on Instagram,
Oh yeah, it's on Instagram as well. It's a good
yeah,
shit.
so we need to deconstruct
Yeah,
this
yeah.
fully. That's been posted on the internet
Yeah, that's interesting.
of him and another male, assuming he's not homosexual,
He's not now.
in a bath.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how that would have been received. How many likes has it got?
I was just about to say we'll find out
It's
how
gone
well it was
viral.
received because. Oh no, that's someone.
That's
someone
drawn to that.
That's someone getting railed. He's got 1 like.
Yes.
Which is even worse than no like.
That's true. Yeah.
On the like scale.
You would rather have 0 than 1. It's probably the other bloke in the photo as well, liking the photo. Yeah, that was that's a pretty normal weekend away, I guess, with the lads.
We won't use that one because it's too explicit.
Okay.
Right, okay, here we go.
Last one. What's this? Ooh. Okay. No disrespect to the woman in the photo.
Right, okay, so again,
for audio listeners.
For audio listeners or the visually impaired, what we've got here is got a screenshot of a Tinder profile of a female woman who, we can be fair to say, what's the Royal Marine slang for someone?
A lizard.
Well, someone that perhaps isn't the most physically attractive.
Gopping.
Yeah, of a gopping woman.
With a Snapchat filter on.
To be more specific, Stacey, age 21. She's not 21.
Yeah. She's lied about that.
Is there a deeper story to this, or has one of the lads literally just found an ugly bird on Tinder?
Potentially what's happened is we've just arrived somewhere new, and they've scrolled Tinder and found the nearest...
oh, of course, yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, the nearest girl, and that sort of speaks to the quality of the general population.
Oh, I think we've gone further down on... I didn't see these photos before.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, it goes so deep.
Oh, it goes so deep. Well, we got...
Oh,
two.
no. Oh,
We're going again today.
Should we have a special explicit bonus episode?
Okay. We've done 2. Are we going to go for 3? I think Eddie's getting carried away.
I'm caught between 2 minds here.
Okay.
Because I either go for what is quite clearly pornography.
Right.
Or what I think may be another iteration of the Fit Sister theme.
Oh, there'll be a lot of that. Yeah.
I am drawn towards the sister. I kind of want to know who it is.
Okay. Sure. Whatever. Okay.
He piqued his attention.
104 likes, decent. That I don't know if that was a sister. What I do know is there was a lad in the troop who was Polish, and that potentially is related to him because of the name and the obvious.
So are we gonna put the photo up, or
yeah, we're gonna try. We're gonna do that.
We're gonna
we're gonna
I'll just pixelate the face.
Yeah, we have to pixelate something.
Yeah. Well, there are many things to pixelate.
Yeah.
So for audio listeners
Or
and the visually impaired, it's basically a fairly attractive woman.
Yeah.
In a bikini on Instagram.
Semi-nude. That'd be behind a paywall nowadays, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, she's making 6 figures a month now.
Yeah, she's killing it, mate. Perfect. Sick. 3 in the bag.
3 in the bag. Bonus. We'll wrap it up next week with some scintillating nudity.
Yes.
So I've already got my eyes on what could only be described as pornography.
Soft porn.
Oh, this isn't soft. This is very,
soft.
very hardcore. There's an anus involved.
Oh, lovely. Perfect. Always finish on an anus.
Yeah, and on that bombshell.
Note, yeah, that is episode 4 of Lifting the Lid in the bag. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.
Yeah, cheers for watching. Next week we'll be back with the final episode.
Yeah.
Which is, off the top of my head, leaving the Corps.
Yeah, so it's life after the Corps, speaking about kind of all things that relate to that. But we'll get into that next week. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment down below if you think we're annoying. Then fuck off.
See you in a bit. Lovely stuff.